What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Rumpier Sports Super Bowl Showdown preview show. This kind of kicks off our week of Super Bowl content. We'll have Showdown content. We'll have bets content. We'll have spread content. We'll have it all throughout the week. This is the first show that kicks it off. Most of these shows will be free. We have some premium stuff towards the end of the week that will kind of bring everything together, lock in the winners. But we're going to go through the salaries for the Showdown slate. I mean, massive contests around the industry, just massive Super Bowl contests. So we'll go through kind of like a first look thing, break it all down, see what kind of stands out, joined by my two guys that are, always here on Tuesdays, Mangone, Title. Go to you first. Mangone, how's everything going? You excited for the Super Bowl? What's new?
Yeah, excited for the Super Bowl. I did what you did the week before that you said, betting on the Chiefs. I did my Heat and Rams, so we got another ticket waiting to be cashed. I have a lot of them sitting for tonight. So, I'm excited for this game. I really hope the Rams win. I'm definitely going to have to do some math and see what the calculation is on those parlays I've done. But I'm excited for this game. I don't think it's going to be like super exciting, though. That's my one worry, because I think both these teams really like to establish the run. Like, I think we think it's going to be a really exciting game. And what'll happen is like the first half goes by and like it's kind of like a little more low scoring and just not as exciting. And then you kind of get into the second half and it feels like it's exciting because the game is close. And like, there's like it's a good game overall, I think, because that's what people will say. But you're not going to see like Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen slinging the ball around, because these coaches, you got McVay and you got Taylor, and they both love to establish the run a little bit. So that's definitely something I'm looking for, especially from a betting perspective and DFS perspective as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like kind of a nasty, grinded out type thing. We'll see. But hey, thank God the 49ers aren't in, because if 49ers are in, that would be a guarantee to happen. Title, what's going on? Initial thoughts here on this Super Bowl game.
Yeah, I agree with Mangone. We got 48.5 total. The Bengals are 4.5 right now. Yeah, I would be surprised to see like a Josh Allen Mahomes shootout, but I think it kind of starts slower. But as the game goes on, it's in a dome, which is really big. I mean, I don't know if there's ever Super Bowls that are in the cold and stuff. I really hope they avoid that. But in a dome, very good for DFS too. We'll get to the thing, but like kickers, I know you're going to be all over the kickers. I probably will too. Joe Burrow, Stafford, but like Mangone said, McVay loves to establish a run. Yeah. We got Cam Akers questionable, Higbee's doubtful. So just another, I guess there's Blanton. We're going to talk about Jefferson, OBJ. There's a lot of weapons in this game. I mean, Chase, Boyd, Higgins. Like, we got two teams that spread the ball around a lot of different ways. You can go at captain, huge prize pools, like you said, which means a lot of people in the contest, which means you got to find a way to get different. And there's, I mean, how often would Blanton be one of the highest scorers on the slate and stuff like that? But I mean, for the captain on DraftKings, like, I wouldn't be surprised if a Blanton captain won it. Don't be afraid to get different. There's 500,000 people or something in this tournament. You're playing for first, because there's going to be a chop probably. If you're not a part of the chop, you're probably going to be losing money. So don't be afraid to get different. There's a lot of ways both teams can go, so it should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason it's likely to be a chop is because there's just not a ton of viable, super cheap plays that we'll talk about. They did a good job, like with these backup tight ends, with Higbee being questionable or doubtful, and Uzoma, same thing. Like, they don't have the cheap tight ends at $200-$300. They got the backup guys priced basically the same as those guys. So that makes it better for the DFS contest, because if not, like, those guys would be super popular. Before we get into the actual breakdown here, let's get some Super Bowl predictions. I mean, I hold some Rams tickets to win the Super Bowl, so obviously I'm incentivized for the Rams to win, and kind of rooting for the Rams here. But honestly, this is a game from a betting perspective that I don't have a ton of confidence in. I think the Rams win this game, but the 4.5 seems like the right number. So what Mangone's doing with parlaying the Rams with some of these NBA games, I do like. I did it last week with the Chiefs, and obviously it didn't work out in my favor. I had a ton of tickets in there, just needed the Chiefs to win. If you're a smart sports bettor, what you do is you place a little wager on the Bengals money line last week, and you free roll. But I'm not a smart sports bettor. I'm a donkey, and I just let it all go away. Mangone, you've set yourself up for the Rams to win. Do you like them just to win this game? Do you like them minus the 4.5? Give me your thoughts and predictions here on this game.
Yeah, I have the Rams -3.5. I didn't jump on like the 4, the 4.5. But I just knew the line would move. I felt pretty good about that. I think the Rams win, and like the key reason why is, man, like I don't believe in that Bengals offensive line. I don't think it's that good of an offensive line. I've always been a big believer in like good offensive lines win Super Bowls, and like if Joe Burrow gets the job done, so be it. I mean, I think there's routes where both coaches make mistakes and they run the ball too much and they keep the other team in the game. That's obviously something that I'm thinking about as well. We're like, hey, how can McVay maybe blow this? Well, that's one way he could do it, but Taylor could also do it on the other side. But I think I lean the Rams. The one reason I did the money line, a lot of it is like, I don't want to get killed on that hook too much. I mean, I have some money on it, but that's why I kind of did a bunch of parlays with it. And so far it's worked out. I've only lost 2 of them at least. So it's definitely been on really well so far. I think that defensive line, they're going to be able to rush 4 or 5, and they're going to be able to just drop some guys back. Of course, Joe Burrow, I always like betting on quarterbacks is great, but it's not like Stafford is like that bad. Burrow is someone that is better than Stafford, I believe. I believe he will go down as being better than him, everything like that. But offensive line is just so important to me. And I think that's just going to be a huge problem there for the Bengals. I think it's going to be a massive issue. The Chiefs, we saw with the Titans game, the Titans, they got to him. I know I talked to JSU a little bit about it, and he said Joe Burrow was holding the ball too long. Whether it was the offensive line or Joe Burrow holding the ball too long, that's just a problem. 9 sacks is too many. Yeah. I felt like the Titans really should have actually won that game. They had 3 interceptions from Tannehill, and on top of that, they went for it on a 4th down at one point, and they absolutely blew it. Like, so 4 basically turnovers and only losing by 3, just insane to me. And then they beat the Chiefs, and it's just the Chiefs. I don't know what happened. They just kind of gave up in the second half. It was an absolute disaster. Burrow made some great plays. You tip your cap to him. And I just think that offensive line is going to be a big problem. And I think the Rams, they just get the job done here in this spot.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with you. I mean, I think I wouldn't be surprised here. Rams win. And it sounds like you think Rams in like a low scoring game, right?
Yeah, I could see it being like a 23-17 maybe, or 20. Like it could even be like a 20, maybe it's 24-20. Like I like the under if I had to pick one side. It's 48.5, so I would be on the under if I had to pick a side.
All right, we're going to the official Titletown Super Bowl prediction. What do you got?
The tough one. I cashed a +800 Bengals ticket before the playoffs that they were going to go to the Super Bowl. Been on the Bengals all year on the bet side. I mean, it's a really tough match because I agree with Mangone on the offense. I'm concerned about the trenches on both sides for the Bengals. I think the physicality, I think Aaron Donald and the boys are going to have their way against the offensive line, and vice versa. I think the Rams are going to have success against the Bengals defensive line. And I mean, it's tough to win if you get dominated in the trenches. I think they're going to be out physical, or the Rams are going to be more physical than the Bengals. And I mean, Joe Burrow is going to have to be a stud. Jamar Chase is going to have to be a stud. Like, they're going to need their playmakers to really show up. But I can't jump off the Bengals when I've been on them all year. 4.5 underdog again. Cashed the money line last week against the Chiefs. I don't know how I can jump off now is what I'm saying. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the trenches. I love that it's 4.5 though. I think that's still discrediting the Bengals a little bit. The defense has played pretty well too. And these 2 weeks on both sides, we're going to get into like talking about it, but I think the 2 weeks really gives other guys besides Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. I think that hurts them because if you're a coach right now, if you're a defensive coordinator, you have 2 weeks to prepare. There's no way you can let Cooper Kupp go out there and just beat you for the Super Bowl. Vice versa, if you're the Rams defensive coordinator, you can't let Jamar Chase go 10 for 150 and 2 touchdowns and win the Super Bowl because of that. I think both teams are going to scheme, taking away the best players, Kupp, Jamar Chase. And I think the Higgins and the Boyd are going to make play and mix in too. So I'm on Bengals money line. I'm on Bengals +4.5. I think it's a special team. So I'm going to keep going with the ride. I don't know how I can jump off now, but I am very nervous about the trenches for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of split the difference. I mean, I think the Rams win. I don't feel comfortable with that 4. I could see it just being a close game, Rams winning by like 3 or 2 or something. So I got the Rams to win in a close game. Not really. I mean, honestly, I love firing hard on the Super Bowl, and this is one year where I'm just not going to go super hard. I mean,
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's easy to say because I'm sitting on this Rams ticket, so I already got a good chunk waiting if the Rams do win. I just don't feel the need to go overboard from a betting perspective. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to this prop show later in the week with BigT, JSU, Dunkel, and I believe ODB is going to be on there as well, kind of, betting on some of these secondary things opposed to the game. I always fire on the game. I've hit some years, I've lost some years, but this year, I don't know. I feel fine, like not going overboard on
There's
just
like
betting this game straight
There's
up.
like 6 props up too right now. Yesterday I went on the Run Pure Bet side. I plugged in a decent amount of them. Dunkel's got a good amount.
Yeah.
Big T's got a couple. So yeah, I mean, more and more will come up too. There's so many ways to bet it outside of just betting it.
Yeah,
like
I'm sure I'll put some up too on the bet side. Like I like a lot of unders though. I really think this game's gonna play like super slow though. Like I just don't see these teams going out there and just like slinging it and just going crazy.
Aren't you nervous about like the second half though? Like just say the Rams are up 17-3 or something like that. I mean, you're in a really, really scary spot if you're on the under there because the other team's just going to keep slinging it.
The one argument, I guess, against that is both these teams are at their best when they're throwing the ball to their wide receivers. You know, Stafford, Cooper Kupp, phenomenal connection all season. Odell Beckham's looked really good actually throughout the playoffs. And then obviously the Bengals have all their pass catchers too. So, I mean, it's scary, but I don't know. I both these teams, like if the Rams get a lead, you know, McVay is going to just pound it with Akers or Sony Michel. Sony Michel cut into that workload, which we'll kind of talk about when we get into the prices a little bit.
I will say one thing when looking at the props, because I think an important one to look at is pass attempts for the quarterbacks in this game, because that's kind of what we're talking about, running it up. Both of them are at 36.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. For pass attempts. And man, that's a high number. I mean, if they're throwing the ball 37 times on both sides, I'd be really surprised to see this game go under. I really would. Both teams are explosive. The receivers can take it to the house. There's athletes all over the field. If they're dropping back 37 times, I'd be really surprised to see the under happen. So it's a really, really tough one. I love, I can't give it away. The bet side, you got to sign up, but JJ has a teaser up there that I hit that I really do like on that JJ put. So that's all I'll say, but 36.5 pass attempts on both sides. That's a pretty hefty number.
The one thing I'll say that with you talking about the like 17-3 and like the other team coming back, like what happens all the time is like that one team, especially if it's like close, like let's say the score is like a 17, like to 20, or even like I don't know, maybe it's like 17-14. Like that team always plays tight, the team that has the lead. And like,
I know what you mean.
And like, I think both sides could get really tight where they just like keep trying to run it. And like,
but don't you think the Rams looked at the last game, the Chiefs against the Bengals, and they were like, man, the Chiefs kind of did get conservative, didn't open up the whole playbook, and look what happened with them. I mean, that's the momentum just keeps going when you start doing that, and then you just three and out because you do just pass on third down and then Burrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
agree with you, but like, I mean, it's a tale longer than time. Like the Rams are up and Sean McVay is running the ball in the second half. It's just, he does that. It's like, but it's literally in both of these coaches' identities. Like, here's a crazy stat that I heard in that Chiefs game. Joe Mixon I think he had 21 rush attempts. And how many of those rush attempts do you think were on first down of the 21? You guys got a guess?
7.
What about you, Hoop?
It's probably way more if you ask the question.
12.
16.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you ask the
they
question.
They were losing all game. Like these coaches, that's just what they do. They're both from the same coaching tree, right? They're from the Shanahan and the Gruden, even though it's not really Gruden, but that Redskins staff, or Washington football team staff, as I should say.
Commanders, right? Commanders, right?
Oh, for 2. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever say Commanders.
No, I can't do it.
Yeah,
Redskins for me.
Yeah, I think I'll just say Washington.
Yeah, and I know I'm like cherry picking one stat, but like I just know both these coaches, like they love to run the ball when they're up, and that's just what I think can happen. Like looking at rushing attempt overs, I don't mind, but I also like looking at a lot of these like under, like kind of what you were talking about, Title, like Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp. They are going to be uncomfortable unders to bet. I'm not saying you for sure should.
I'm with you though. I am.
There's many other bets you can make. Like I'm not saying this is the bet to make, but when you think about those guys, they're going to just get pounded on the over forever. Like leading up. Like if you're going to bet an under on Cooper Kupp, it now.
It was like 100 when I looked like a week or something ago. It's 106.5 now. Like on Kupp. Like they're getting steamed. I mean, that is 106.5 in a Super Bowl.
Well, I will say if you look at all of Cooper Kupp's numbers this year, like he has
it should be
really well.
Yeah, it should be. He's been a stud.
But the point I was getting at was like if you're gonna bet some of these unders, like you need to wait on them. Now some like the lower ones where it's like a random tight end that's at like 29.5, that might move down to like 24.5. So maybe you get on that under now. Like you have to been doing this for so long, it's like you have to know which spots are the ones like to get in earlier on and like wait on, because sometimes you get some better numbers for sure. So I mean, kind of like just look at the lines now and then like track them every day. Just like take 5 minutes, open up the book and see if things have moved or not, and see if it's moved in the favor that you want, or maybe it's moved like a yard and you're like, man, this could move like 4 yards and I want to get on this now. So jump on it then. It's definitely worth looking at because I think it's really important.
Yeah, just talking about some of the bet stuff kind of leads us into the next segment here. If you didn't catch the NBA show, if you don't follow us on Twitter or any of the other social media platforms, we released a promo yesterday. SB56 is the promo code, and you get 56% off your first payment on a monthly package at Run Pure Sports. You can do just DFS. You can do DFS and bets. You can do DFS, bets, and Saber Sim as well. 56% off your first month. Any combination of a monthly package at Run Pure Sports, use that promo code SB56, 56% off. It's massive. As I always say, our pricing plan is a little bit different than the competitors. You get absolutely everything on our website under our packages. We don't charge you more when each sport starts. A ton of big events coming up outside of the Super Bowl as well. All that content under our monthly packages. Mangone, I'm going to toss it over to you. Just give the people a little preview of what you get with a Run Pure Sports membership.
Yeah, the Run Pure Sports membership, you get like all the sports, right? You get the MMA content that Title does. You get NASCAR. I mean, you get everything. If you're a sports fan, like if you just love sports, like this is the place for you. Go sign up. Also, using Saber Sim is one of the best optimizers I've used. It's definitely gives you some great ways to like find lineups that are really good without just hand building. I mean, I love the hand build, but I think using the optimizer helps you create better teams. So definitely sign up for the optimizer as well. And it's one of those things, if you are going to sign up, like dig into the optimizer, like dig into the content. Don't just show up at 6 o'clock every day and be like, okay, like now let me figure it out. Like maybe spend a couple hours, like right after lock, and like just like learn the site and like look at stuff. And maybe you can like be like, hey, I like this. Like maybe you see something that AP did on the heat chart that you're like, man, that was a good call, or that was a good take. And then that's something that you look at and you add to your process. I think creating a process is super important. Sometimes people just want to assume, give me a lineup and, we'll call it a day. It's not what we do here. We definitely try to do our best to guide you in the right direction, help you out. And I think we do the best in the industry at leading you in the right direction and also trying to teach you ways to get better and improve as a daily fantasy player.
Yeah, and with your membership, not only do you get all the stuff on runpuresports.com, but you get access to our premium Discord channel, which is, active 24 hours throughout the day, 7 days a week. Channels for each sport, channels on the bet side. You can get access to all that. Some of the most knowledgeable, not only our coordinators, but our members. These people are in there grinding with stats, numbers, absolutely everything that you need to be a winning daily fantasy player, sports better. It's going nonstop in the Discord. Title, talk to the people about the Discord channel that we have. Anything that you can add there?
Yeah, I always say that's my favorite part. The content's awesome. NBA, so much content. Golf, so much content. The Showdown. Anything there's a contest for, there's content for. But my favorite is the Discord. Just because, if you just want to go talk pretty much anything, like right now, the trades, I was at the gym earlier and stuff. A couple people tagged me because my boy Tyrese got traded. I go in there and man,
what an awful trade, by the way. The Kings are just, such a shitty organization.
Bad trade for the Kings. Pacers won that deal. I agree with that. But nonstop, like so many people talking about it in the NFL chat, MMA. I love the MMA chat. There's golf, there's NASCAR, every single sport, like you say. Any question, whether it's game theory, roster construction, and we're in there, the coordinators. Big shout out to Glock and Gary. They're the ones that are in there the most late at night. But they're in there. We're in, all of us. There's someone in there answering questions all the way up until the last game for NBA locks. And that's not something you find at a lot of spots. Injury news breaks. It's hard to update content in so many different places. Cash charts updated all throughout the night. AP's heat map, he tries to do it. Core plays are updated. And then we're in Discord answering the questions. If news hits, it changes the whole slate. It's hard to update all that stuff. Very easy in Discord. Make sure you get in there. Just a fun time talking with members, with coordinators, and seeing the screenshots and then people having success is really nice. Yesterday, someone hit for $40,000. A couple of big hits yesterday. Discord always my favorite. Just the entertainment and the community value in itself is worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, just tons of stuff going on. Some big events that are obviously coming up in the sports world. UFC 271 pay-per-view that is on Saturday. Title does a full breakdown for that. He's in Discord answering any questions up to Lock of Sport that I knew nothing about prior to Title coming out of Run Pure Sports. Now it's honestly one of my favorite DFS sports.
The best DFS sport.
Yeah. PGA season is in full swing right now. I mean, the contests, the events are going to continue to get better. Not only do we have content for the main 4-day slates, but we have Showdown content every single day. Our boy Snyder heads that up. We have
prize pools are big in that too. Like the prize pools in Showdown, they do good with that.
They do. I mean, $50,000, $100,000 top
and there's
prizes.
An edge. Like the courses, a lot of them, like different courses. Snyder crushes that.
Yeah, our golf team is strong.
Can we settle down on MMA being the best DFS sport? Like,
it's fun to sweat, man.
DFS sport, every single one, you're going to go with MMA.
Yes, 100%.
I didn't say the best. I said one of the best to sweat out.
I think it's the best, and also another reason financially why it's the best because it's the only sport where you can do the hedge, where like the main event, like where you're sitting and you can hedge and guarantee yourself a lot of profit if you want. Where you can't really do that in the NFL, you can't do that in NBA, you can't do that in other sports. And also, it's two trained killers going at. I think personally,
it's exciting from the perspective if you have a sweat and you have a guy going in a ring against another guy, and the way he wins is to beat the shit out of the other dude. I
think it's fun to watch from a betting perspective. DFS wise, I disagree, but
if you know you have a good team, or if you know you're playing a guy like 60 or 70%, you're way over the field, and he's coming up. Like it's exciting to watch and know, like, all right, if this dude
literally the only time my hands sweat, like I can't sweat any other sport. MMA, I can, my hands, like I feel I get a different feeling, but yeah, I'm a little biased.
We saw you Title. You were up against the screen, right? Really close.
Turned on his boy like that. I mean, that's a story for another time. But I mean, man, you turned on me real quick. Flip sides in a.
We're not talking about that.
That was a fun moment. I laughed.
It was fun. But long story short, everything. Daytona 500 is in not this weekend, but next weekend.
20th,
I think a Millie Maker for that. We have everything covered. So, SB 56 gets you 56% off your first payment on any monthly package at Run Pure Sports. You can include bets, you can include SaberSim, you can do it all together. The best deal you're going to find in the industry. And just to kind of elaborate on the schedule that we have this week, for the Super Bowl content, like I said, we're going to have a lot of free content, and then towards the end of the week is going to turn to some premium stuff where you need to be a member, and if you're not, you can get in with the promo SB 56. So this is the first look show. Obviously tomorrow we have the picking winner show. Holden, Mangone, Keg, they'll be in there breaking it all down. There'll obviously be more of emphasis on sports betting, and then Snyder is going to have his article released, I'm assuming in the evening at some point. That's just going to be a game breakdown. Then on Thursday, we have the Print Factory, like I talked about, JSU, BigT, Dunkel, ODB. They'll be covering all things from a betting perspective. Obviously, they'll talk DFS, I'm sure, as well. They'll bullshit, have some fun. It's a good group of guys. I mean, those shows have been a hit all season long. That's, like I said, JSU, BigT, Dunkel, ODB. They're going to go later on Thursday. It sounds like maybe 10 Eastern, but you could be able to play it back as well. I think that show is going to be premium. So you're going to need to be a member to watch that one. Rubio's Playbook, which has been, smashing all season long. That's going to come out Thursday at some point. Just the playbook portion, the cores will be added in a little bit later. Friday afternoon, me, Big T, Holden, Morning Wood. That's basically going to be the Showdown breakdown, where we're actually talking specific plays for the Showdown slates, game script stuff, roster construction stuff, and obviously we'll have a lot of fun. Me and Big T will be picking the winners, and Holden will probably be trying to distract us with some sort of sex jokes or something along those lines. Tambo's plan of attack will come out on Friday, and then K Phallic's 3 max strategy will also come out on Friday. And then everything kind of comes to a head on Saturday. Off the Chalk show, that's going to be Saturday night. AP, DC, Tambo, JT Hayes. And then at some point Saturday, all our core plays will be entered into the playbook, and that'll include the player pools for JSU and Big T as well. So a ton of stuff leading up to Super Bowl 56, along with all our normal content for NBA, PGA, UFC going this week and all that stuff. So everything going on this week. It's a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. So if you're not a member, like I said, give it a chance. It's going to be the cheapest all-in price that you can get. I mean, it's the cheapest all-in price that we've ever done. All you got to do is use that promo code SB56. Let's get into looking at some of these salaries. We're going to primarily be looking at DraftKings. I'll throw in some FanDuel stuff along the way, but we're just going to go down the pricing spectrum here on DraftKings. And obviously it starts at the top with Cooper Kupp at 11.6K. After him, we have both the quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford at 10.8, Joe Burrow at 10.6, Jamar Chase at 10.4K. Just looking at this, to me, Cooper Kupp will clearly be the highest owned guy in this group, rightfully so. DraftKings scoring obviously suits volume wide receivers. He is the most volumed wide receiver in football. I don't even know if that makes sense, but you get the point. He gets a lot of targets. He's crushed all season long. His price is the most expensive. It should be. His ownership will be the most expensive. We'll stick with these four over 10.4K. We're not going to go deep. We're just going to kind of touch on the prices and anything that stands out. The shows later in the week, the Morning Wood Show on Friday will be a deep dive into talking about these guys. Go to your first title. What are your thoughts? 10K and above, Chase, Burrow, Stafford, Kupp, anything that kind of stands out to you here?
First thing that comes to mind is, so I'm going to definitely, how I like doing Showdown, especially with the 500,000 people and stuff, I'm going to be very narrow and make big stands on captains and stuff like that. I think you have to. I think I'm probably just going to X both quarterbacks to start. There's just so many athletes on the field.
In captain or just
in captain. Yeah. There's just so many athletes on the field and on PPR, full point PPR. These guys are going to get the ball in their hand. They have double. If a wide receiver or running back scores 2 touchdowns, they're probably going to be in the captain. It'd be tough for Stafford or Burrow to beat them. So I'm probably just going to X out both quarterbacks. If they get a rushing touchdown and stuff, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty tough to overcome, but you got to make stands. The Cooper Kupp's tough because on FanDuel and Yahoo, like the full or the half point PPR sites, it's a much easier fade or not like a captain play. Because like you said, I mean, his prop right now is 8.5 for receptions. They just get him the ball, quick screen, just like Devontae Adams, quick screen, get the ball in his hand. That's a free point right there. Good yard after catch. I mean, it's a tough fade. I'll probably have some Cooper Kupp captain, but you have to realize if you have Cooper Kupp captain, you got to do something to get a little bit different with the rest of your lineup, whether that's leave salary, whether that's maybe a 5-1 Bengals with Cooper Kupp captain build. I mean, we saw a couple of weeks ago, not maybe it was probably a month or two ago now, but the Tennessee and 49ers game when AJ Brown was the captain, and then it was 5 49ers that were on the optimal. Very, very unique. I mean, it's not something that will happen. It's not likely to happen, but if you have Cooper Kupp with 5 Bengals in your lineup, that's probably going to be pretty unique compared to the rest of the builds. Looking at it, I think 3-3, meaning 3 Bengals, 3 Rams are going to be a popular build. I think 4 Rams, 2 Bengals will be pretty popular just because they're the favorites. Because I like the Bengals, it'll make my job really easy. I'm going to have a lot more 4-2 Bengals. I'll be way overweight on that build. Obviously, we're talking the top 4 positions, but kind of roster construction in SaberSim, they do a very good job. And I love the part of SaberSim where you can just go in, see how many 5-1 Bengals you have, 5-1 Rams, et cetera. So I'm going to get overweight on the 4-2 Bengals. I'm going to get overweight on 5-1 Bengals just to get a little unique there. But I can't make a case of fully fade Cooper Kupp and the captain. I'm going to be underweight in it, though. The flex, I'll still have a ton. He's just a stud. As far as Jamar Chase, though, I love the Bengals. I like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Uzoma and those guys more, though, just because, like I said in the beginning of the show, like if you're the Rams, how are you going to come out here after 2 weeks? 2 weeks to prepare and let Jamar Chase be the one to beat you? Everyone in the world knows Jamar Chase is the guy on this team, the explosiveness and stuff. I think that they send a lot of hats to him. I think Higgins, Boyd, Uzoma, these other guys have a big chance. So even though I like the Bengals, I'm going to be underweight on Jamar Chase, maybe even X him in the captain. Cooper Kupp, I'm going to be underweight captain, but he's such a good play on DraftKings. I'll have less on the half point PPR sites. And yeah, quarterbacks, I'll play them in the flex, but I'll probably just hit the X button. Maybe a little Burrow. There's no way I play Stafford in the captain, but I probably won't play either of them.
Yeah, so the field overall this year has kind of been trending away from quarterbacks in the captain spot. The number continues to come down. For the Super Bowl contest, I'm assuming that that will likely be the same. Mangone, I'll throw it to you. I mean, do you agree with Title's assessment of maybe avoiding these quarterbacks and focus on more of the high volume type plays in the captain?
Yeah, it's tough because like I do like obviously going to some of these quarterbacks in the captain slot just because of the ownership, but I do think the game plays a little bit slower. And one thing I hate about playing like these like running backs at times is it does feel like their ceiling is not as great. So I like the idea of having a bit of a more narrow pool. I'm trying to still figure out what my plan of attack is going to be. I'm not going to completely X out the quarterbacks. I'm definitely going to consider them. But what I might do is like just get a little overweight and like make sure they're like just like they're pretty good builds, right? Like they're not just like if I play the quarterback in that spot, I'm going to make sure it always has probably like two receivers for sure. Like I'm going to make sure that the rules are set properly on it because I think people will build some bad lineups with quarterback and the captain. And yeah, I think that's kind of the route I'm going to take with that. One thing that you can make the argument for Cooper Kupp, and I'm curious what the ownership will be. I'm guessing he'll be the highest. It'll be him.
It'll be the highest. It'll be the
right now I'm
highest.
seeing Stafford though, so I'm curious.
Yeah,
I assume
I think
Kupp
it'll be Cup. I mean, I feel pretty confident saying that it's going to be Cup as the highest owned.
yeah.
Because still, even if you put Cup in that spot, just from a roster construction standpoint, you still have 6.5 6.5K per spot. We have some, kickers are clearly in play. A couple other cheap guys. It's pretty easy to play him in captain. So I think he'll clearly be the top owned guy there.
Okay. Yeah. So I sort of agree. I'm curious to see where it goes. Typically I don't mind doing like, hey, like, let me just like fade like the highest owned guy. And then from there, I don't have to do too much else, but like, I don't know. I mean, Title's idea of just like fading both the quarterbacks, like, and then I can still play Cooper Kupp, which like, he's a guy I really don't know if I want to fade necessarily. Like that just doesn't sound great. So yeah, I'm sort of warming up the Title's idea a little bit more because it kind of goes back to my strategy of I think it's the under is going to hit. And if it does, like, I mean, yeah, you do need raw points at times, but maybe you can get raw points in other areas and like the PPR can add up. So they did price up guys though, right? Like these cheap guys, I don't want to like jump too far ahead, but there's a lot of guys that are expensive. And you kind of alluded to it at the start of the show, Hoop, but I think that's going to really like hurt some of these like lineups where like you can't go a lot of cheap guys for sure. Maybe you can play one of them, but like, and I bet you one of them could be on the winner because like if a lot of these studs go off, you might even need a guy that gets you like one fantasy point. That's like literally like $200 and that's okay. So that's something else to think about too. But I would make sure I'm kind of being smart about how I roster those guys. And then man, like when you struggle to have values at like the cheap range, man, it feels like a kicker. It could be a kicker slate. It's in a dome, which is nice. And like kicker captain could allow you to do a lot with your lineup too. So I'll definitely, I know you'll probably be loaded up on the kickers, Hoop. I think I'll be loaded up on the kickers as well. We got two decent ones here and I think it's a good spot. And the one thing I really like about the Bengals kicker, and I think I'd be overweight on him, is that offensive line of the Bengals. When you get to third down, it leads to a sack. That leads to longer kicks. I mean, that can happen where it's like, it could be first and goal, or it could be third and goal at like the 15 because they took one bad penalty and then Burrow takes like a 15-yard sack and it turns into like a 47-yard field goal. I mean, it just, so
we'll talk about the kickers, but yeah, these are two teams that are very open to just taking the points. I mean, McVay early on in his career really wasn't that sort of coach. At some point he morphed into that. Like he'll kick a field goal on 4th and 1 and there's not many coaches in the league. So, I mean, we'll get to kickers, but yeah, I mean, they're super, super appealing. After this top tier, let's talk about let's go to the running backs. We'll talk about the running backs in this game. You got Joe Mixon at 9.6K. We have Akers at 6.4. Listed as questionable. I assume he plays. Sony Michel at 5K, and then Pirine at 2.4K. This is an interesting group. I mean, this is, to me, what you do with these guys kind of dictates everything. Are you going to pay 9.6 for Joe Mixon when in the last couple of games we've seen some of his passing work go to Pirine, who's only 2.4K? Probably needs to find the end zone here at 9.6. The Rams running situation, Cam Akers looked like he kind of, went to the top and, grabbed that position and it was his. Well, last week we saw Sony Michel get 10 carries. Not going to get much information on who gets a majority of the work, but, especially with the expensive guys, Mixon, Akers, Sony Michel, potential for not a ton of passing work, which is super concerning when you factor in DraftKings scoring. And then P. Ryan at 2.4, if he's going to get that passing work and you think the Bengals are playing from behind, he could be a really good cheap option. Stick with you, Mango, and talk to me about these running backs.
Yeah, I struggle with like the Akers and Sony Michel thing. I do think if I had to pick like 5K Sony Michel, I just can't. Like, I think I'd rather just go to Akers, but that always depends on ownership. If you told me like Michel was like, 5%, which he won't be 5, but it just depends on what the gap is between them. Is it 5 times? Is it 6 times? What is the difference between them? I think that's going to matter. I really like the spot for Joe Mixon. You're really betting on Joe Mixon because of his volume. It's all just volume. And you hope he kind of falls in the end zone. And he is certainly a guy, like I said, when it's first down, they are going to run the ball with Mixon. He is going to get his opportunities. So, and I also think another reason why the Bengals are running the ball more is they know their pass blocking game is not as great. And they want to make sure that, yes, Burrow can get the job done, but they're not just going to pass all game long because that line can't hold up. So I do think Mixon is the best of the 3 if I had to pick. And I think he's kind of worth like prioritizing because of the volume that he's seeing. He has to fall into the end zone, which would be nice, but you also have the PPR upside. Like, he could easily get like 5 to 6 catches, would not be surprising at all. And that's just a touchdown right there. So I just think there's a lot of outs volume wise for Joe Mixon compared to some of these other guys where I think I'm going to go him. And also the Rams, one thing they do is they're kind of willing to give up some short yardage stuff. In order to like, not like the Chargers would do it, but like they'll give up like a short yardage runs here and there in order to just like get the third down and then try and get a stop. And if a team's going to give you that and Taylor sees it, he's just going to keep taking it and you're just going to get a lot of volume and like momentum in Mixon's favor. And that could be good. So I think Mixon is definitely worth going up for this week.
Before I toss it over to Tuttle, I haven't mentioned it yet, but if you're watching the show, please do us that favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Helps us to continue to bring you guys these shows for free, and we'll be doing it throughout the week, focus on the Super Bowl. So please do us that favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Tuttle, talk to me about the running backs here, the four main running backs in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I can't not like Mixon when I think the Bengals are going to win and he's minus 105 to get in the box. Like, if I think the Bengals are going to win as dogs, 9.6K. And I actually really like what DraftKings did with the pricing because they just messed up on Cam Akers' price. They really did. And he's going to be really popular because of it. 6.4K. I mean, that price is silly. Sony Michel, 5K. There's no reason they should be $1,400 difference. I think it's going to be Cam Akers in the backfield majority of the time, which maybe is just, I'll go way underweight Cam. I'm not going to like X out Cam Akers because I think Cam Akers is a really good running back. I really do. But yeah, I think Sony Michel gets some work. 6.4K though, like that price is silly. Everyone's going to want to jam him in. It just makes no sense, I think. So if everyone's just going to do that and it just feels too easy to jam him in, yeah, I'll go overspend for Mixon a little bit. Play some of the other guys in the top tier. We're going to get to like the Boyd, the Higgins, maybe the mid-tier build, the kickers, Boyd, Higgins, Van Jeff. Like, there's certain ways to go. So I think Cam Akers right now, my plan is underweight, 6.4K. I think a lot of people gravitate to it. Richie Smalls in chat mentioned Chris Evans too, which is, the third string for the Bengals. He's $400. Mangone, this is back to what Mangone was saying. We're like, maybe a $400 guy who gets 1 catch or 2 catches can end up on the optimal. And Showdown, we've seen, I forget what week it was, Hoop, where
it's happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it was the final winner, but I know like late in the fourth quarter, you had this other bum that got like 0.5, maybe this other guy had this other bum that got like 1.1. And you can be on the winner like that, especially in Cooper Kupp, Stafford, Burrow. Like, if it's a slower scoring game and Cooper Kupp gets 2 touchdowns, Higgins gets 2 touchdowns, and the scoring is very condensed, you definitely can see that too. Yeah. So,
It's happened in the past. It's happened in the past multiple times. And the way that happens is if there's 5 guys from a scoring perspective that you have to have that really separate themselves from the next, number 6 guy in terms of overall fantasy points, where you need those 5. And then it just doesn't matter if you have a punt that gets you like 1 or 2 could end up on the optimal. It's happened multiple times in the past. So that is a very good point you bring up. Anything else here on the running backs?
Yeah, I love Joe Mixon, 9.6K. Like I said, I think they're going to win. I think he gets in the box. Love that price. Going to be underweight on the Rams running backs, 5K, 6.4. P Ryan, yeah, 2.4K too. I don't, same reason for Evans. P Ryan is more likely to score more points. You're not going to, 1 point from P Ryan's not going to end up on the optimal 2.4K. But if you're on the Rams and stuff and you think they are in a trailing game script, I mean, you wouldn't be surprised to see P Ryan get if they're down 21, it's the fourth quarter. You wouldn't be surprised to see P Ryan get all the work on the passing down. So I think he makes some sense too. I'll be overweight the Bengals running backs, underweight the Rams running backs, but that's just because I'm on the Bengals. So it kind of makes sense that way.
Yeah, we talked about the big dog wide receivers. Let's talk about the secondary guys. Odell Beckham, like I said, has looked really, really good throughout the playoffs so far. Last week, what did he get? 11 targets, 9 receptions, 113 yards. Didn't find the end zone and got 23 fantasy points. I think he's a very interesting, especially if you're not playing like Cooper Kupp. If you're fading Cooper Kupp, like Odell's a guy to definitely consider. T. Higgins had that down game. When was that? Was it the first week of the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, bounced back nicely, 10 catches, 103 yards. If you're going to be down on Chase, like T. Higgins is a great option. Tyler Boyd at 5.4K, really like Tyler Boyd, especially if like Uzoma misses. I think Uzoma, we'll talk about the tight ends after this, but if a guy like Uzoma does sit, I think Tyler Boyd could eat in the middle of the field.
He said he vows to play is what he said. So
yeah, but like how healthy is he? Like what's he going to be capable of doing? And then what is Higbee's doubtful, right?
I saw doubt. I'm going to assume he's not playing.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I mean, he might be one of those guys that like suits up and like plays a couple snaps and like here and there, right? They have like.
I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. It looked pretty bad. Like he.
Yeah,
I know. I guess what I'm saying is the Super Bowl. So like sometimes these guys go out there when they're just not even healthy, just to try and like contribute in some way, even though it's not a lot. Like these guys in the playoffs, I always talk about it, like Uzoma seems like a great fade. Like just why even mess with him? Even if he says he's fine, of course he's going to say he's fine. He wants to play in the Super Bowl. Like no kidding. It's like a game of a lifetime. So I think that's something that people might take shots on that where I just stay away completely. I just don't think it's worth it. I like the Boyd call with the Uzoma stuff. Yeah,
I tend to agree with you there. Like, I mean, if he says he's going to play, he's going to get ownership. And we always talk about it. Those little 8, 9, 10% fades, they start to pile up and, it can really pay the rake. So, we'll hit on the tight ends a little deeper after. Van Jefferson, the last guy, his role, with the emergence of Odell, his role, hasn't been great lately. I mean, 2 catches the last 2 games and 5.2K. I would have liked to see them come in with like a lower price tag on him. Tough play at 5.2. Let's talk about those guys, the second and third wide receivers for both these teams. Title, toss it over to you.
I love that they overprice OBJ at 8.4 and they overprice Van Jefferson at 5.2. But if Higbee does miss, which I think he does, like I think the overspend makes a lot of sense, especially because I do think the Bengals win. If I'm going to be underweight on the Rams running backs and stuff, and I think they're trailing, like Van Jefferson, OBJ, looking at like this Ben Skronik guy, he's $600, kind of the same argument for Evans.
Just a brutal drop too. Oh my, was that last game?
I don't know. Zone? We've seen it multiple times.
Yeah, but he gets looks, man, and he's on the field. He's on the field and he gets looks.
Exactly. And that's like Van Jefferson. He's been so bad, but if Higbee is out, like, I mean, yeah, Blanton's definitely going to play some, but like, is Blanton going to get the same snap share as Higbee did? I don't know. I mean, I'd kind of be surprised. Like I can see them running a lot of 4 wide receiver sets and stuff like that. So I'm going to be overweight on all these Rams wide receivers. And I mentioned Cooper Kupp too. Like, yeah, I'm scared that they're going to be scheming for him, but still Cooper Kupp full point PPR. So give me all the Rams receivers. I'm going to be underweight Jamar Chase, like I mentioned in the top tier. Love Tyler Boyd. Love T. Higgins. Who else I got? That's pretty much it. Yeah. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins.
I'm not like a big matchup dude, but what's the cornerback for the Rams? Yeah, will he be on Chase or?
Sometimes he follows, sometimes he stays on the side. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I always say it. I think better O beats, but like if to be honest, if Jalen Ramsey does, like I would want him to. If it comes out, Jalen Ramsey said, "I'm going to shadow Jamar Chase." That means it's going to be more one-on-one coverage without safety help because that's the reason he's doing it. Then if I hear that, maybe I do just jam a lot of Chase because people hate fading. Like, you know what I'm saying? People hate targeting Ramsey and stuff like that. And Jamar Chase, better O beats better D. I mean, they can get there. So I hope they do. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like all these secondary wide receivers. Van Jefferson's an interesting one. I think he does probably get low ownership because that is a
He
big
has
price
to be,
tag.
right?
Yeah,
5Q?
and he's got the Q next to him right now. If people are already making teams, yeah, I guess that is an interesting point. Mangone, talk to me about these secondary wide receivers here for the Bengals and Rams.
Yeah, I haven't like read up enough on like what's happening matchup wise, but I do think you're going to see Higgins in the middle of the field a little more with like Ramsey. Like I think you're going to see Ramsey kind of shadow Higgins a little more because it does feel like Chase gets a lot more outside work. And because this is a Super Bowl, expect like tons of like just gadget plays. You know, they're going to unload the whole playbook. And when you unload the whole playbook, you know who's involved? Odell Beckham. Like he might have a pass attempt. He might have a rush attempt. He's playing that Robert Woods role. And what was the Robert Woods role? They were getting tons of rush attempts at times, and he's gotten them in the past. So I like Odell a lot here. I think Odell, I saw someone put on Twitter, it was like, I think he was like 25-1 to win Super Bowl MVP. And like, I think that like, that's not a bad bet for sure. Odell's definitely a dynamic player where he can get that job done. And he's also been like targeted in the red zone a lot more. So I kind of like Odell even over Cooper Kupp, as crazy as that sounds. I'm definitely going to be way overweight on Odell Beckham for the Super Bowl. And then I think Boyd is a good call because like a lot of the middle of the field stuff for Uzomah, that's going to go, I think, more to Boyd. And I think you're not going to see Ramsey on Boyd as much. You're going to see him more on Higgins, I think. And if I'll read up on it a little more, and then maybe I'll change my take on it. But that's my like first look read on that situation. And then one guy to mention that's like, this is a super deep dart idea, but I'm just trying to figure out if we got Higbee sitting, there's a $200 guy on the Rams. His name is Bryson Hopkins, and he got a catch against, I think, Seattle. He got a catch against Seattle. I don't know how that game played out. It was 20-10, but Higbee, I don't think played in that game. And like, he's $200. One catch could be the difference. 1.9 could be enough to get the job done. So, I mean, he's also $200. He's not 600 or 800 where that could matter. So if Higbee doesn't play, I wouldn't ignore him. And then let's say Uzomah like suits up, like they put up Drew Sample a decent tag. But again, when you're taking a lot of these like really, really cheap guys, try to read in and figure out like which guy is going to be like the backup tight end. And like those guys, if you're taking any of these cheapies, there's just no one down there. So why not make it a backup tight end, especially with there being injury situations going on, or a Ben Skoranek who we talked about before. And if you are going to play a Van Jefferson, I think fading Cooper Kupp on that team makes a lot of sense, because if Van Jefferson has a big catch or if he has a big score, what happens is he breaks like a 60-yard touchdown likely. Like that's how he's probably on the winner. And if that's the case, well, you're losing the Cooper Kupp like possession where they just chunk yardage down the field. Yes, it could work together, but I do think it's a good spot if you play Van Jefferson. I think considering a Cooper Kupp fade is not the worst idea. I don't think you just immediately do it, but like look at the team without it and then see if maybe you can still get them on.
Yeah, very good points there. I guess we can just go right into like the tight ends. And for me, with the Cincinnati situation, if Uzomah is, I guess no matter if Uzomah's in, I'm not playing him. I mean, to me, I saw that injury. There's no way he could be 100%. I wouldn't mess with it. To me, if he's in, it would be one of those situations where he's playing because he wants to play in the Super Bowl. I don't see how he's 100%. Drew Sample, if he's out, like Sample sucks. I've played him in DFS and landed a few goose eggs. Like I don't want to be on Sample. Likely fade him regardless. So long story short, I'll be off the Bengals tight ends regardless. I think Boyd gets the big boost here, no matter what happens. Like I really like Boyd in this game. I think Boyd's a phenomenal, might be one of my favorite plays on the slate at 5.4K. And then the Rams situation, seems like Higbee's going to be out. They asked McVay if he's going to, when was this? It was today. They asked him if he's going to practice in the coming days. And McVay said, I don't think so. Leads me to believe he's going to be out. Blanton did look pretty good. I do have some interest in Blanton at 4.6K. I mean, he stepped in. They were targeting him, 5 targets, 5 receptions. The week before that, he got some run, 2 targets, 2 receptions. So he's converting these targets into receptions at a very high clip. I will have interest in Blanton, but if Higbee's out again, I like Odell quite a bit too. Like I think Odell gets a boost because of the situation regardless. So the long story short with the tight ends, like Blanton's probably the only tight end that I'm going to play, and that would be if Higbee were to be ruled out. Thoughts at tight end here?
Yeah, you talked me out of the Uzoma, even if he does play, because I do think he does play, but I think you kind of already talked me out of him. So probably going to hit the X there. I don't think Higbee plays. If somehow he is in, I'm definitely hitting the X. To be honest, I hope they do say Higbee is in and they're kind of low key about it, because I'm going to even jam more Blanton in, because if he's out, Blanton's going to be played, and rightfully so. Blanton's a good football player. Like, he's actually good. So I'm definitely going to play him. Because you can't scheme against Blanton right now if you're the Bengals. They just have too many weapons. So yeah, I'll be on Blanton regardless, hoping Higbee somehow is active. I doubt it though.
Yeah.
And as far as Drew Sample, I mean, man, if you think Uzoma, I don't know. 4.2K, it's one of those things, like, it's a complete overspend for sure. But if I think the Bengals win, I think Joe Burrow has some success. There's 500,000 people in this tournament. You got to overspend on some. You hope he falls in the box once, a couple catches. That could be enough. So I don't know. I'll probably make sure I keep Sample in my pool, maybe bump them a little, and that's just to get a unique lineup or try and get a little different. But yeah, I don't like these tight ends nearly as much. I like these wide receivers. We'll get to the kickers. I like Mixon, P. Ryan, and stuff like that. You can't play everyone. The tight end position is not the best.
Let's talk about these defenses. I think, I'm typically someone that doesn't play defense a ton on showdown slates. I don't know what I'm going to do here, because I think there is some merit to these defenses. We know with Matthew Stafford, he is definitely prone to throwing interceptions, and he'll throw multiple ones. It seems like when he throws one, another one is not too far behind. And then for the Rams, obviously this is a really good matchup. What we saw in that game with the Titans, this offensive line struggles. Now, they kind of fixed it last week where Burrow was just getting rid of the ball quick, and the Chiefs were getting in there, but Burrow was already gone or getting rid of the ball. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with defenses. If it looks like they're coming in at a high ownership, like 15 to 20%, I'll probably just fade them. If it looks like they're coming in lower owned, maybe I play them. But I have a feeling 3.4K and 3.2K, they're going to get some ownership. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. Mangone, thoughts on defense?
So you do have Matthew Stafford back there, which that always makes it interesting, because he can definitely have those games where you're just scratching your head and the turnovers are going. Rams have some playmakers, so that could make some sense too. Especially talked about like Burrow holding the ball a little bit long in the sack. So I typically don't play defense. I do think my pool is going to get a bit narrow, where I could see myself maybe adding him in like at a small amount, but I really never play defenses. So I'm leaning on trying to fade. And like, part of me just looks in and I go, I could play the Rams and the Bengals defense, or I could play both of the kickers at just more ownership. And my lean is just playing both the kickers at more ownership. Like, the more we talk about it, like, I'm going to be like so overweight on kickers. It's going to be insane. I just think I'm going to have like, I don't know, Hoop, like you're really good at the kickers and everything. Like, what's like the max you would go with it? Cause like, I do feel like this is a week where I could see not that I'm going to lock them, but I could see myself having like 50% or more of both of them, just because of like the way the slate is structured. And I don't think people go to kickers enough.
They don't go to them enough. I've played a couple Chiefs slates with Bucker. I think I played like 70% Bucker at one point. These kickers have my interest. I'm with you. And I'm guessing they probably, in the Millie Maker, I'm going to say probably 28-ish%, I think is what you see. And
take the under.
You think they come in lower than that, huh? Really?
I would love that. Like, part of me,
I hope you're right, man.
I mean, look, like Cam Akers is 6'4". Like, they're just some mispriced guys. If Higbee's out, like this, I really do.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right, because these kickers are in. I mean, these kickers, well, we'll just get into it and talk about the kickers, because these kickers are in, to me, phenomenal spots. You got the Rams, who we've seen it with McVay the last couple of years. He's just willing to take the points. And especially for you, Mangone, where you're kind of anticipating maybe a lower scoring game, like perfect to go kickers. McPherson, I mean, obviously it's been, the talk of the playoffs. I mean, the dude has just a huge sack on him, obviously just going out there and kicking these game-winning field goals like it's nothing. 4K for him, 3.8K for Matt Gay. I mean, to me, very, very strong options. I'm good with double kicker. I'm good potentially with kicker captain. I mean, if one of these guys goes out and gets, 4 field goals, 15 fantasy points, kicker captain could potentially be there if we're looking at like a 23 to, 18 game or something along those lines. I hope the ownership's low, because I'm going to be high on them. Title, kind of go into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be low by any means, but 28% is kind of high. And the thing about ownership this week is how many people, like 500,000 people in this tournament. Usually like a big showdown contest that we play is what, like 120,000 DraftKings puts out or something. Like that's 3x, over 3x is this. So like we're going to have people in showdown that never even probably played DraftKings, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I think that could work against you though too, because you start to go down to the cheaper price range, and there's just no standout super cheap guys. So I think people will look at this and say, okay, well, that's why I think defense and kicker could be more inflated than normal, because people aren't going to play these cheap $100 guys, $200, $400 guys. There's like nothing down there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I hear you. The defense, I feel even more confident that I think they're going to be pretty low, like 10%. A lot. Like what? It doesn't feel comfortable playing a Bengals defense is an underdog against this Rams team, and it doesn't really feel comfortable for some people playing a Rams team or Rams defense with Joe Burrow. To be honest, I like the Rams defense more than I like the Bengals for sure.
Yeah,
and I think the Bengals win. I just think the sacks opportunities there, like sack fumble. I just think there's more ceiling there. I never captain defense or kicker, so I'm just going to continue to do that. I'll be overweight kicker in the flex for sure. But like you said, I mean, to get different, a captain kicker, I mean, we've seen it win multiple times this year.
Yeah.
You think it's low scoring? It definitely could. It's just something I don't do. You got to have a pretty narrow pool, I think, to try and give yourself a real shot to ship. As far as the defense, like I'm with you. I don't want to play the defense, but it's all up to what I see what the ownership is going to be. If defense was 20% somehow, the easiest X button in the world, in my opinion.
I agree with you on that fully. Like if it gets in the high teens to 20, like I'm out. Like
I think it's
totally
going to be low teens though, and maybe even like 9% or something.
I don't know.
Like,
I really think the problem comes into play when you start going down. There's like no cheap options here. So like the cheapest people are going to want to go are the defenses and
if you're right, yeah. I mean, we're lockstep on that. The ownership projections, everything, like all of this stuff, it's still Tuesday. A lot can still change and the injuries and stuff. But defenses, it's an ownership thing. If they're high teens, like you think, easiest fade in the world. If they're low teens, even 10%, something like that. I mean, man, 10% and a defense, they're on the field all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like one pick six could easily be enough or something like that. So I'd probably include them. But if they're 20%, no way. I gotta play kickers, so they're always good.
Yeah. Mangone, you're obviously team kicker. Yeah, go ahead and get into it.
Sorry, let me ask you a selfish question here, because I feel like I'm building everything around the kickers. I just don't like this value. I think it's like terrible. So like I'm gonna captain kickers. I know I'm gonna do that. What percentage is like, because you don't, I agree with what Title says. You want to keep a narrow pool. And of course, like it's very hard to decide how many to go. Like, how much percentage on kickers would you go? And like, how many captains do you typically go? Because you're good at making a narrow type pool. So is BigT. What is your like optimal captains? And like, if you play kickers in the captain, like what's the percentage you like to get to? Because you don't have to do much to get overweight on that.
We'll definitely be diving into, the ins and outs of roster construction and in certain percentages in that show on Friday with BigT and Holden. But just a general rule for me is, let me see the best way I can say this. I always want to be over the field on everything I do. You want to be over the field, and I want to play as limited number of players as possible to get to that point. Some weeks throughout this, I had a pretty good showdown season this year. Some weeks I only played 2 captains. Some week I only played 1 captain. Other weeks I spread it out more. Just really depends on the slate. In terms of the kickers and the captain, what is it going to be? Maybe 1-2%. So it doesn't take much to get over the field. And I'm with you. I'm gonna go that route here this week. Just because of the kickers, these teams, these coaches. But it's not going to take much. Kicker captain is virtually unowned. If one of these guys goes out and gets you 18 points or 20 points, it could be the winner. And it doesn't take much. So it's just, for me, all about getting over the field on everything I do.
That's helpful. And of course, like the premium show with BigT and Hoop, they'll talk about that more. And like, I'm excited to listen to that and dive into that one. Cause
player pools are always up too for BigT and JSU. Like you can see how many captains. I usually run about 7-8 is kind of where I found myself, but there's no right or wrong answer really.
I definitely get tighter with it, but I don't play 150 lineups. I was
say that's an 150.
I more so play like 10 to 20. I'm still trying to get better. I'm still getting better with the process for it. But I'll have a lot more time this week, obviously, and so I think I'm gonna definitely dabble a little bit more on it, and I feel good so far that we've talked about too. This does feel like one of those slates that I like. Sometimes I kind of have a good read on Showdown slates, and I like what they did with the pricing. It definitely works for me, so I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I like it too. Our boy Nate Zafai says Hoop's going to drop the kicker ball bag on the forehead. Yeah, if the kickers have a big week in the Super Bowl, I'm going to be doing some teabagging. There's no doubt about that. All right, I think that does it. I mean, it's just initial first look at this slate, and we're going to have a ton of content, obviously, all throughout the week, and kind of goes right into some of our premium shows. The Print Factory, Big T, JSU, Dunkel, ODB is going to be on. Let me pull up the schedule again. I believe that's going to be on Thursday night. I want to say
Thursday. I thought you said.
Yeah, Thursday night, and then me, Big T, Holden, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be, diving into the slate very deep. We're going to be giving our plays. We're going to be talking about some ownership stuff, some roster construction stuff. That's all part of the premium package here at Run Pure Sports. We're running the promo in honor of the Super Bowl. SB56 gets you 56% off your first payment on a monthly package over here at Run Pure Sports. It includes everything on our website. If you want the bet side, you can include that. If you want SaberSim, our partnership with SaberSim has been kicking ass. I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job incorporating our content into the actual optimizer. You can include that in a monthly package as well. 56% off. It's the cheapest price we've ever ran it for. I just want to give everyone an opportunity to check it out. Our members have been having a ton of success, and that's the most rewarding thing about everything we do is seeing our members come in life-changing money on a regular basis. It's not like, it happened a couple times. I mean, nightly you have guys playing for 10, 20, 30, $40, turning it into 5,000, 10,000, 40,000 last night. Like you said, we've had $100,000 wins, $1 million wins. The members crush. It's all about the community we built here, and we want more people to come in. So SB56 gets you that 56% off your first payment over at Run Pure Sports on a monthly package. It's going to do it, though. I think it was a good first look. And like I said, the rest of our content will be coming out throughout the week. Definitely looking forward to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a fun week. Come join us. But we're going to get on out of here. For Mangone, for Title, I'm Hoop. Good luck.